Thank you, Hashem, for waking me up and returning my soul to this body and my body to this soul, both of which I love so much. Nobody could have done it without you. It's my pleasure to wake up and serve you the way that only I can do it. I implore you to please guide me to where I need to be, to who I need to see, and to what I need to do, so I can serve you to my greatest and highest potential. Amen. Thanks, Hashem. I was debating on this. I was gonna hold off on it. I was gonna hold off on doing this for a little bit, but I started crying on my walk, so I figured it'd probably be best for me just to. I'm really sensitive, really emotional. Fuck, I can feel it coming on already. I'm actually a crybaby, but I hold it in. It feels like a dam's about to burst. I woke up this morning. Thank you, Hashem. I woke up this morning. What the fuck? Motherfuckers following me? Woke up, thinking about... What was I thinking about, Hashem? Being a kid. Wrestling. WWF wrestling. Started thinking about how, like, I've never been able to... I never felt like I fit in anywhere. And not just because I can't, but also because I don't want to. I feel like kick something. Fuck. This is gonna come out. We were fucking talking yesterday. What am I so afraid of? I'm afraid of people seeing how I feel on the inside. I don't like it. It's about being vulnerable. It's not that I can't. It's just that I don't have much to relate to. I don't want to. Just don't know how to make it work. How do you like survive in a place that's the complete opposite of what you're about? You would think, oh, that's actually, it's not that hard of a question, actually. You see, some questions can't be answered until the question's asked. I've never asked that question before. I don't know, you would think opposites attract. I'm thinking Paul Abdul. Because opposites attract. I don't like cigarettes, but I like to smoke. I make the bed, but I steal the covers. How do you live in a world that's diametrically opposed to everything that you stand for? Well, do your thing. I mean, it just works. I don't know how it works, it just works. Because opposites attract. That's why, because the Paula Abdul effect. Don't put so much thought into it. Well, you know, it's remind me of when Hashem was preparing the Israelites to pack up and move out from Mount Sinai. I'm gonna send my angel to clear the way for you. My angel's gonna travel with you. I'm gonna clear the path for you. You know, it's good. Like I'm a master of. I take great pride in the fact that I have. Is it annoying though? I mean, it's looking at me. You can't see what I'm saying. I take great pride in the fact that I have. I take great pride in my capacity to, in my ability. I take great pride in my ability to travel back in time in my mind. And to observe my timeline, my lifeline, from both objective and biased standpoints. I mean, it's not impossible to look at your life from an objective standpoint, especially after enough time has passed. It's hard. It's not easy. But it's not impossible. Do I got some of the right fucking belt lube? Nah, I'm picking my fucking belt up. I'm picking my shorts up in fucking like 2 seconds. It's annoying as hell. There we go. It's not impossible. It can be a little tricky though. What am I getting all weepy for? It's because when I woke up this morning, I was thinking about how I'm always alone. Like, I always feel alone. I'm just like, I've always felt alone. I've always been alone. I started thinking about when I was at my father's house. Whenever my sister and I would go to my father's, and like, I didn't have any friends. I didn't play with anybody. And I think, did anybody ever fucking notice that, like, I wrote something. I'm working through this book. It's called Shar HaBitachon. It's a 1,000-year-old Jewish text. It's fucking amazing. It means the gate of trust. It's book 4 of like a 10-part series. But this one is the most important one. It lays out the groundwork. It lays a foundation for the concept of Bitachon, which is 100% reliance on God for everything. It's a lot of woo-woo. It's a lot of Jewish woo-woo. But if you have any kind of experience with like mysticism and any kind of supernatural experiences, or even just life in general, like it's a really practical book. It has really good advice for self-examination and even how to observe the world around you and your own experiences in a way that's a little bit different. Maybe. For me personally, when I was first introduced to the book, I was first introduced to it last year by Yael Trush, who runs the Jewish Money Matters podcast, and that's the name of her YouTube channel too. But she does like maybe like once or twice a year. She does like these 16-hour workshops on this book. And I sat through 1.5 of them. But the reason I was even able to sit through it in the first place was when, so over the course of the 16 plus hours, like she goes through every chapter in the book. But what attracted me to it was the fact that I already knew what it was. I didn't know the word. I never heard that word before. I didn't know that it was a phenomenon that was interlinked with being Jewish. I had no idea, because I had seen this phenomenon taking place over the course of my life. I just didn't know what the fuck it was. So during that first hour, that first lecture, or maybe even the second one, it just dawned on me, like, holy shit, it has a name. There's a fucking name for it. And there's a book written about it. Oh my God, I wish I had this when I was a kid. This would have made everything would have made so much more sense. But it would be several months later, like that was last August. I finally picked the book up for myself back in December. I think I got it as like a Christmas present for myself. Because I can appreciate having gone through the book with other people. Like, mind you, it wasn't a live play; it was all pre-recorded. But it's one thing to have been primed for the book with Yael, but at the same time, like, she's not going at my pace. She's going a lot faster. Like, I'm only on chapter 3 out of 10. Like, when I go through a book. Like, I'm also working through a couple books with Aristotle, and what I do is I don't just read it. You can't, especially someone like Aristotle. You can't fucking read that. You cannot read it. I mean, you can read it, but you're not going to comprehend any of it unless you read it like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. So what I do is I write what I'm reading, and then I write about what I just read and wrote. And I don't even do it like a full paragraph. I do sentence by sentence. And that's with Aristotle, but I made it through two books so far like that. It takes me about 2 months per book, especially because his aren't that long, but it slows my mind down, it slows my brain down, so that my mind can actually like bridge the gaps and form the make associations, so I can better understand what it is I'm learning about. It helps with comprehension, because my philosophy is like, it's not about being able to repeat the concepts. Like, I get it. If sum B equals A, then sum A equal B. That's cool logic. I love the idea of syllogisms. I'm still learning the idea of syllogisms. I don't fully understand the idea of syllogisms, but perfect syllogisms, imperfect syllogisms, affirmations, negations. We got a whole library on negations and affirmations. Well, negation and affirmation, that's one of 4 forms of oppositions that we learn about in categories. The other 3 are negatives and positives. I'm sorry, not negatives. Privatives and positives. So what's a privative? It's a great question. I didn't know what the fuck a privative was until Aristotle taught me. So let's say, so one is born, with humans, we're born with sight. We can see. To be privation is when we remove something that would naturally be inherent within a thing. So a human that is born without eyesight, they're privative of sight. That's a privative. So a privative is to take away something that would naturally be a naturally occurring thing. So if, like, let's say a lady can't have children, her womb is privative. She's got a privative womb. But she's a privation. Using it in a sentence, that's a little tough. I know what the word means. It's the you are king of the Jews. Thank you. Using it in a sentence, I'm still getting the hang of that, but I know what the word means. So if someone says something about privatives or privation, like I know what they mean. Then there's also correlatives. Correlatives are a third type of opposition. And then on the flip side of correlatives, there is the contraries. Now, privatives and positives, like affirmations and negations, are one. Aristotle uses correlatives and contraries as separate entities, but I could see how they're related. I could see how oppositions would actually fall within the category. The category of opposition would fall within the category of relativeness. Aristotle's theory of special relativity is not the same as Einstein's theory of relativity, although we can say with some certainty that they both are relative to each other because of the fact that they are, at their core, relative to relatives. I have not read Einstein's book on special relativity yet. It's under my bed. I opened it. I listened to an audiobook on it twice a couple years back on Audible because I wanted to prime my brain for the future when I do get around to doing it. So it's in my mind that I have to get to it. It's just that there's prerequisite work that has to be done first before I'm able to comprehend everything that's going on. Because there's a lot. So I had just recently opened it over the winter. And on the first page, he makes a reference to Euclid. Euclid is a ancient Greek geometrist. So that kind of led me back to like, fuck, I have to go and learn Euclid geometry now. So, I mean, on this phone, I do have the 13 books of Euclid, the 13 elements of Euclid's geometry. And I started with the first book. I got through the definitions and I've explored and then dug into the first two propositions. It's been a while since I looked at them, but I can tell you that Aristotle's syllogisms is relative to Euclid's first proposition in the sense that Euclid's first proposition is a two-dimensional geometric figure that represents what a syllogism is. I believe it's the second proposition that's even more interesting, because if you well, the idea with what I'm doing with Euclid is I don't have too much of an idea of what I need geometry for just yet, per se, though I have experimented with defining the lines and shapes to mean what I want them to mean, and what I just most recently learned about syllogisms pretty much confirms what I had originally concluded about the first proposition. And how one circle can be defined as one area of knowledge, and how the other circle can be relative to another area of knowledge. And when they're combined, there's that middle overlap, for which the equilateral triangle that exists within those points, those connecting points, how that can represent kind of like the sweet spot of the overlap between both contrary or correlative areas of study. It's kind of like Hellenist Judaism. Hellenist Jews, Hellenist Judaism, which is where this all started in the first place. I had originally heard about Hellenist Jews, and I wanted to know more about what the hell they were, who they were, what they were doing, because rabbinical Jews, Orthodox Jews, don't necessarily accept Hellenist Jews, so they're like, oh, okay, no. But the Hellenist Jews, that doesn't mean that the Hellenist Jews went away. It just means that they were less, they weren't recognized as being Jewish enough for the other Jews. So the other Jews basically said, well, these guys aren't Jewish enough. They're doing things, we don't like what they're doing. Now, I am only familiar with a couple Hellenist Jews, and my understanding of what they were doing is exactly what I had proposed when I first came across the idea of Hellenist Jews. And that is the marriage, the marrying, the overlap, the syllogism, finding the syllogism between Hellenist wisdom, Hellenist logic and philosophy with relation to Jewish wisdom and mysticism. And being able to use, and in doing that, what would be the purpose? What would be the purpose of that? How much of our society is predicated on Hellenist logic and reason and philosophy? To one degree or another, it's there. Maybe more covertly than overtly at times, but it's there. So now what we have to kind of try to consider is how do you marry Hellenism and Judaism? Well, try to think of it like what we're doing is we're using Hellenist logic and philosophy to better understand and expand on our knowledge of Jewish wisdom and mysticism. Being able to pick apart the details, being able to scrutinize things from a different perspective. And even because it's not that we're taking God out of the picture, absolutely not. One of the prophecies of Moshiach is that he will be able to find godliness in ungodly things. And something most ungodly would be Hellenist philosophy and logic and reason, because there's no God in it. It's pure innocent. It's pretty much, it's probably 99.998% pure logic, pure intellect, which doesn't seem to have much room for emotion, or I guess you would say that, the feelings, the feels, facts before feels. But what we're doing is we're uniting feels and logic at the same time. feels and facts, the facts of the feelings. Like, so for instance, when I read, when we're reading Torah, when we're studying Torah, like I don't know what other people see. I don't go to Torah study groups. I've talked to Jews. None of them, I don't know what the hell most of them are expecting or what of them talk about or what they believe. I really don't. Some Jews see the books of Moses as a history book. Some don't. Some see it just as a philosophy for life. Although I don't really pick up on that. I don't understand how that works, but at the same time I do. It's complicated. I'm still learning. I'm a self-educated Jew, which is like probably one of the worst things that you could be from a Jewish perspective. I've had Jews accusing me of making my own religion, misinterpreting, and I don't think that's fair, but that's also because from what I understood, what I gathered is that Jews have a lot of trauma when it comes to people wanting to take their Jewishness away from them. And what I gathered was their biggest fear of me was the fact that I might try to take their Jewishness away from them. Which isn't the case. It's more like I'm trying to understand I'm trying to understand it from a few different perspectives. But I don't know how I come off to people that aren't me, you know? But it goes both ways. Especially when I have all these like wild ideas. Are they really that wild though? I don't know. I think they're fucking amazing. I love my ideas. The ideas that are inspired by God. Like I wouldn't be doing any of these things if it wasn't for God. I couldn't. It's impossible. I'm too stupid. Don't say that about yourself. No, I know I'm intelligent, but I'm saying like in relation to God, like I'm a fucking idiot. But aren't we all? So when I'm going through the gate of trust, when I'm going through this book, like I have several different perspectives that I'm coming from, you know? Because for a lot of my life, I suspected that I was Jewish. I didn't know that I was Jewish. Wouldn't be until over the last year that God has led me down the path to find out, yeah, not only are you a Jew, but you are the Jew. You are the perfect Jew. Because you're not constrained by anything else. You're not constrained by the fence. You're not constrained by the man-made rules. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like because of the fact that I'm an uneducated Jew, leaves the door open. It gives me there you go. Because I'm an uneducated Jew, it gives me the added benefit of not being inside of a box. So it's not possible for me to think inside of the box because there never was a box for me to think within at all. So my challenge, the challenge for me is not so much thinking outside the box. That's easy. I could do that all day long. It's no fucking problem. I've already figured out how to marry Islam, Christianity, and not Christianity, but the principle, the philosophies of Christ, the teachings of Christ. I've already learned how to marry those with marry Judaism, Islam, which is what Jesus was anyway. Jesus was an Islamic Jew, Jewish Muslim. Islam is Jesus is predicable of Islam. Like no one has ownership over God, but God does have preferential treatment towards some people over others. It's just the way it is. Until everybody can be like one big happy family, one group of people have to be prioritized so as to be the example from which the other people go and say, oh shit, I had no idea it worked like that. Now the Christians, if you want my opinion, the Christians are Jew worshippers. Jesus wasn't necessarily the Jewish Messiah. Jesus wasn't necessarily the Jewish Messiah, but he was the Messiah for the non-Jews. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a giant church. But that's part of God's bigger plan. Like, there will be Christians who take a shit on the New Testament. But don't worry about it. Then it's not for you. Then it's not for you. That's reverse anti-Semitism. Because one, Jesus is a Jew. Don't shit on the man. Because he was a Jew, just like you. And the people that follow him, you know what? How about this? Right? You're a Jew. Jesus is a Jew. When I read Jesus and when I read rabbis, they're talking the same language. Because Jesus was a rabbi. So, maybe instead of shitting on the Bible, shitting on the New Testament, the books of the New Testament, shitting on the teachings of Jesus and the Christian church, why not help try to expand upon it and go, oh, well, you know what? You might not be, what you're looking at, it also means this from our perspective. Because when you tell people that they're wrong, you say, yo, you're wrong, I'm right, you got a problem. Because now you're pushing your shit onto me. You don't want me doing that to you. You don't want me to tell you how to do things. You want to figure them out on your own. I get it. Now, how much have you figured out that somebody else told you? I have this friend who's not really a friend, but more of like an annoying messenger acquaintance, who keeps on asking me all these questions about God and how to be a better, not how to be a better, well, yeah, how to be a better Jew. But rather than get to the point, well, what do you think about this person? What do you think about that person? What do you think about this? Well, this person told me that. This person told me, I don't give a shit. It doesn't fucking matter. None of it matters. I don't give a shit what this person says. I don't give a shit about what that person says. You want to know if this person's anointed by God to be saying what they're saying? No. Because outside of my head, every single person is a false prophet except for me. God taught me how to be my own Moshiach. God taught me how to be my own Messiah. So that's why when I can say shit like, yeah, I'm the fucking Moshiach, suck my dick. Seriously. Wrap your lips around my dick while it's erect. Becoming Moshiach. I became Moshiach a long fucking time ago. But be your own Moshiach. And if you can't, maybe you should ask God why it's such a problem. Maybe you're not supposed to. I was watching a thing last night. I was watching this show on Jesus. I actually want to binge watch it now. I think it's called Chosen. I just watched The Passion of the Christ again on the new moon as an anniversary type of thing, because I did the same thing last year for the Cancer new moon. I felt called to watch Passion of the Christ, and I've been learning a lot from Jesus over these past couple days, and even the past couple weeks, and even the past couple months, although I haven't really been focusing too much on it. More like I'm priming myself to better understand him, understand God through his perspective. You know, there's like a message in there. This whole idea of him being this superhuman God type of thing, he's yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. Anything he can do, you can do better. I can do anything better than you. You know, it's like that. It's exactly like that. That's literally what it is. Anything he can do, I can do better. Anything I can do, you can do better. I can do anything better than you. What that means is don't be a fucking know-it-all. I'm on my own little fucking I'm on my own little pedestal here. I can be a know-it-all the fuck I want. And nobody can fucking come up on here and be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Fuck you, I do too. If I didn't, then I wouldn't be able to fucking talk for 35 minutes straight about whatever the fuck I want. Am I gonna be able to make it to like another hour and a half? I don't know. I was just walking to the store to go get some bread, but then I started getting all fucking emotional and decided to get this all out of my system before I went to go get the bread. You know, I'm gonna get home and my mom's gonna be like, where the hell did you go? I thought you were going to get bread. I was. But I started getting emotional and I had to go, I felt like I needed to record for my YouTube channel. His YouTube channel. Can I watch it? Be my guest, lady. Tell all your friends too. The fuck is this? I hate when people come to this goddamn place. Cause I like to like talk out loud and there's assholes that fucking come and hang out. And when people come and hang out around here, I can't talk because I don't like people hearing what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Unless I'm talking to somebody. I don't like people knowing what I'm doing. I don't like being judged. Oh, fuck it then. What's my biggest fear is like my family, my friends seeing these videos. Because it's where I get like most vulnerable. It's where I talk a lot. I say a lot of stuff. And not a lot of the things that I say would normally make people happy. But I also had a situation once where my sister had watched a video or two. And I was talking about how her husband was weak. I was talking about how her husband and my mom's husband were weaklings. And then she got pissed off at me because of what I said. But out of a 2 hour rant talk speech, like that was the only thing that she took away from it. And it's like, you know, go fuck yourself. You're so fucking vain that you probably think this song is about you. You're so vain. You're so vain. You're so vain. You want to make it about you? Go turn off the fucking video and go stare into a mirror. Wow, you don't talk like this to people's faces because I don't have time to. Like, think about it, we're 38 minutes and 15, 17, 18 seconds into this. How much have I had to talk to actually get to this point right now? Quite a bit. And I'm by myself. It's not like I have other people around. Because talking at people is different than talking to people, to a degree, unless you can detach yourself while talking to people and make it into talking at people, which is a lot more challenging than you would realize. Because people want the attention. People want you to talk to them. They don't want to be talked at. They want to be talked to. The way that I'm talking, like you can't say these things to people. You got to say it at people. Because otherwise people take it personal. And none of this stuff is personal. This is personal to me. So and to kind of reinforce that point, on Sharp Bitachon, the section that I'm on is all about why do the righteous suffer and the wicked prosper? And that's a really good question. It's a really triggering question as well, because that asks us to then kind of asks us to define, and maybe even redefine what is righteous and what is wicked. Who is righteous and who is wicked? What makes me more righteous than you? At what point am I not self-righteous? At what point does my self-righteousness not... At what point does my self-righteousness supersede your perceived wickedness. And who the fuck am I to say that you are wicked? Where's the middle ground? At what point? It's a shit fucking motherfucker. At what point do we marry the righteous wicked man and the wicked righteous man? Wicked righteousness and righteous wickedness. I never thought of it that way before. I know. That's why Hashem made me, so that I can think about things like this. Because you're taking two contrary perspectives and you're marrying them into one. So what I was seeing was wicked righteousness in that question, in the sense that who the fuck are you to be questioning why a wicked person is prospering and you're, quote, suffering? You don't know anything about them. Do you know that person? Why? What makes them wicked? Because they're not doing what you do? And who gives a shit what they have versus what you have? Are you like... Because to me, it sounds like you're jealous. It sounds like you're jealous that somebody got more than you do. Oh, but I say my prayers every single day. I'm not getting rewarded like that. Where the fuck did God tell you to do that? I'm on my second... I'm halfway... shit. I'm over halfway through Numbers. My second time through Numbers. Not once does God ever tell anybody that they got to pray every single day. But in fact, he never tells anyone to do anything. What he does do is he lays out the law. There's no law that says you have to pray. There's no law that says you have to do anything that you don't want to. Either you do it or you don't do it. And if you don't do it, then you're just not part of the club. I'm sorry. I mean, everything is pretty. It's very clearly laid out. Like somebody mentioned, someone's message replied to something I said recently this morning and said, well, Genesis is ripped off of the Sumerian blah, blah, blah. Did you read the fucking books? Did you read it? And the 10 Commandments are derivative of. Did you read it? Did you read it from the beginning of Genesis to the end of Deuteronomy? Did you read the book? Did you read the books? Beginning to end, in order. Not cherry picking, just so that you can prove your point. Like, what comes after the 10 Commandments? In the Bible, there's no such thing as the 10 Commandments in the Bible. There are no 10 Commandments. There's no. Okay, guys, here's the first 10. No. Here's the fucking commandments. Here's the first set. These are the most important ones. Because after the 10 Commandments, after the quote 10 Commandments, there's another fucking 612 at least. We can keep going. There's a lot more that aren't even said. Because what you gotta also read into is there are the commandments that are given, and then there is the commandments that you find when you read between the lines. For instance, there's a commandment that if an Israelite acquires a Hebrew slave, there are very specific laws and rules that you have to follow in accordance with how to handle being a slave owner. One of them, especially, and this goes for voluntary slaves. A voluntary slave has to serve a full 6-year sentence. Not a sentence, but a full 6-year term. So on the first day of the 7th year, they're free. They're free. And there's a reason for this too. And we'll get, but we don't find out until the end of near the end of Leviticus, back in like chapter 25 of Leviticus. Why is it 7 years? Well, it's funny you say that. Because we go in 7-year cycles. Every 7th year is a sabbatical year. Once you get to the 49th year, the 50th year is what's called a Jubilee year. Now that's when things get really fucked up. So the Jubilee year is actually the first year of the second Jubilee cycle, which is composed of seven weeks of years. How's that? So every 7th year is a sabbatical year. So you harvest and you plant, you sow and you reap for 6 out of 7 years. It's not unlike how pizza. It's not unlike how the rules for collecting mana. Collecting mana, we only collect mana 6 out of 7 days of the week. Because on the 7th day is the Sabbath, which is the day of rest. You do not fucking do anything on the Sabbath. You rest. You had all week to do things. You don't need to do it now. Which is actually mentioned in the New Testament. Jesus heals some people in the temple on the Sabbath, and after he's done, the high priest, they're not happy about it at all. And they go off on the people like, yo, you had all week. You had all week to do this shit. Right, but Jesus wasn't here all week. He was only here today. And Jesus is the only rabbi, priest, who doesn't give a shit. He's the only one who is actually like, he says to the guys, what do you think? Just because it's a Sabbath, God doesn't want you to heal people? God doesn't want you to help people just because you got the day off? Everyone's got the day off, but these people are fucking sick because of you. You made them this way. Your rules, your laws, you fucked them up. And now you're gonna bust my ass? You're gonna bust their ass because they come to the one guy that's willing to actually help them? Get the fuck out of here. And yeah, you know, technically, Jesus did. He earned himself the death sentence. He did. In Numbers, we learn, early on in Numbers, I think maybe it's around like chapter 13 or 14. It's right after, right after Moses sends the spies to check out the promised land. They're gone for 40 days. After those guys get back and they start all the problems, we are informed of a story of when the Jews were traveling. While they were moving from location to location, they came across a man who was collecting firewood on the Sabbath. That's a big fucking no-no. A huge fucking no-no. Back in Numbers, back in Leviticus, back in Exodus, we learned the rules of manna, which is you collect manna 6 out of 7 days. Every single day, every individual who's collecting for themselves and or for the group, for their particular group, they collect 1 omer of manna per individual. There's no going above or below. 1 omer is 1 daily portion of manna. Everyone's just going to be a little bit different. No one gets too much, no one gets too little. Everyone has exactly what they personally need, which is 1 omer. On the 6th day, and only on the 6th day, the collectors collect 2 omers of manna per person. 2. The first portion, the first omer, is for day 6. That's what you're going to eat on the 6th day. The second portion is the one exception to the rule. Normally, you cannot keep manna overnight. It rots. Except for the second portion collected on the 6th day. The reason for that is that you are not supposed to work on the 7th day. You're not supposed to do anything on the Sabbath. You're supposed to rest. You're not even supposed to collect food. And so, we collect 2 portions, 2 omers of manna on the 6th day. 1 to sustain us on the 6th day, and 1 to sustain us on the 7th day. Now, the same goes for planting and reaping and sowing our crops once we settle the promised land. Now, something important to understand is that many of the rules and laws that God gives to the Israelites, the laws and rules that God gives to the Israelites and no one else, is that once the land is settled, this law is in effect. So I'm going to tell you the law now, but you're not obligated to follow it until you settle the land. But here's another, let's fuck things up even more. Because you guys are going to cause fucking problems, you got to go wander the desert for another 40 years because I want all of you dead. Every single person that's above the age of 20, you're all going to die before you can go into the land. Just because you're fucking problem causers. Your children are going to be the ones who get to settle it. So now get that. So now he's giving me a law that I can't even follow. I'm not going to be able to follow it. My son's going to be able to. My son is going to. The responsibility of keeping that pact, keeping that law, following that rule, it falls on my son, who's still just a child. It's fucked up, right? It's called fucking discipline. That's what it is. God has been trying to genetically modify human beings of raw discipline, wisdom, and insight. These aren't regular people that are just, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go flip some burgers today. I'm gonna go do a cashier job. No, these are fucking people that have to take a serious position in life. Because this is serious shit. Now, one of those rules is a sabbatical year. You can reap and sow all you want for the first 6 years. On the 6th year, God's going to do his mojo, work his mojo, so that you collect 3 years worth of food. Each year that you reap and sow, you're harvesting for the following year. You're harvesting for the following year, except for the 6th year. On the 6th year, you're harvesting 3 years worth of food. And God will make that happen as long as you trust in him. Don't fuck around, don't be relying on idols. Place your faith in God and he will ensure that you have collected 3 years worth of food in that 6th year. Why? Because on the 7th year is the sabbatical year. Do not allow the land to rest. It's not just about you, it's also about the land. The land has to rest, which means you get a year off. You get a year off to focus on your Torah study, to focus on not so much leisure, not just sitting on your ass doing nothing, but let's go back and let's reflect on the past 6 years. Let's spend this whole year reflecting on how we can grow. Let's do like a 6-year report. All right. Every year on the 10th day of the 7th month, we have to do Yom Kippur, which is the rites of the scapegoat, which is when the entire community has to take ownership of all of their sins and guilt. It's a year review. We're doing a year review. So that we can do better next year than we did this year. Not that we did a bad job this year. We did as best as we could. But let's take a peek at what happened, at what we did, and at what we didn't do. So 10 days prior to Yom Kippur's Rosh Hashanah. That's the New Year celebration of the creation of man. That's the anniversary of the 6th day of creation. Okay? Which technically we're still in, but the 12 to 13 days leading up to Rosh Hashanah are called the 12 days of reflection. The 12 days of reflection. Each day is devoted to 1 month of the past 12 or 13 months. Why 12 or 13? Because we're going off a fucking lunar calendar like God commanded us before the Exodus. The new moon will be when you use your will count as the beginning of each of your months. The new moon. But I thought the lunar calendar wasn't accurate. It's more accurate than whatever calendar that you're using now. It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem that way unless you observe it from a bigger lens. So every 19 years to the day, the calendar recalibrates itself. Within a range of up to 20 hours. Right now, today, right this second, within a range of 20 hours, the sun and moon and earth were perfectly aligned to where they were on July 7th, 2005. On July 5th, 2005, there was a Cancer new moon. At the exact time, within about 15-20 minutes, there was a what the fuck is this shit? Within minutes, 10 to 15 minutes of when it took place this year. Because that's how it fucking works. Because that's how fucking accurate it was. It is. I'll listen to nobody who says that the fucking calendars aren't accurate. And every 19 years, the lunar calendars realign with the Gregorian calendars, the secular calendars. So they're all perfect. So the sabbatical year. Sabbatical year is the year that the fucking land itself gets to rest, not just the people. So you get a year off to do a full 6-year reflection, which is what I'm doing this year. I have 6 years worth of journals. Every month I do a monthly review. Every week I do a monthly review. I do a weekly/monthly review, depending on what week it is during the fucking lunar cycle. On the first day of the first month, on the new moon, I go back and I review the whole month that just passed. On the second week, on the first quarter moon, I go back and I do the last week. On the full moon, I do the last 2 weeks. On the third quarter moon, the last 3 weeks. And on the new moon, I do the last 4 weeks. This year, on the 12 days of reflection, was the first time I did a 12 days of reflection. It gave me an opportunity for every single day to go through each month of the last 12 months so that I could see for myself how life had played out and led to that moment. It was fucking amazing. It was the coolest thing I had ever done. Because when you observe your life through the lens of a lunar calendar, it's very mystical. You can see the mystical side of life that is not apparent the other way around. So this year, I have a collection of 6 years worth of journals. When we get to Rosh Hashanah this year, I will have 6 full years. My plan, as laid out by the Lord, is to spend the first 6 months of the year reviewing the past 6 years of my life through the lens of the lunar calendars, the Hebrew calendars. That's 3 months per year, 4 weeks per month, 1 year per month. It's gonna take me 1 month, 1 full lunar month, to cycle through 1 full year of journals for the first 6 months, so that on the new year of the new Jewish year in Nisan, you are free, unlike them. Which is why I can do things like this. The Lord freed me. The Lord has risen me up from my personal bondage in Egypt so that I can do his works like this. Because this is impossible. This is impossible stuff. People don't have the time, the energy, the resources to do this. That's why I have to rely on my mommy and I have to rely on my family to fucking tolerate me so that I can do these fucking crazy ass things that really don't make any sense to anyone but me. And the people like me, who are the Jews. Now, it's my suspicion, my Lord is telling me that not only because I'm Moshiach, I am the king of the Jews. Oh no, that's a death sentence. Come at me. Come the fuck at me. If you want to crucify me like Jesus for saying that, because I was saying before, I was watching this Jesus show called Chosen. I watched a clip of it. He literally said, in the show, he says it. No, he doesn't say it. Someone goes, well, he didn't say he was the Messiah. And then he looks over at the guy, yeah, but I didn't say it in those words, but that's what I was saying. So I'm just going to come out and say it. I am the Messiah. I am the prophet. I am the Moshiach. I am the king of the Jews. Because I am the perfect Jew. Now, according to Islam and Judaism, that's death sentence by saying that. But I have to be wrong. As if I'm lying, then I'm wrong. Then I get to die. But Jesus already took one for the team on that. See, because Jesus did break the law. Technically, he did break the law. And he knew that too. He knew it. We know this because Jesus was a Torah scholar. He was a Torah scholar. He was a Torah sage. He was a fucking rabbi. If you don't study Torah, then what the hell are you doing studying Jesus? You don't know what the fuck he's talking about. You can guess. I guess he's talking about this. I guess. But you don't fucking know. You don't know what the hell he's going through. And by the way, not once in the Bible, and in any of the books of the Bible so far, I've only made it up to Luke, does it say anything that he didn't have a Y chromosome. His father was Joseph, you dumb fucks. When you trace Joseph's fucking lineage all the way back, did you know anything about genetics? I had a genetic test done last year, or earlier this year, and about 2 years ago, I had one done. Had two done. Had one done on my X chromosome and one done on my Y chromosome. Once I got the Y chromosome done, I learned something that I didn't know, which is that, and this is exclusive for men. I'm not a woman, so I don't know if it works the same way with the women in the X chromosome. I suspect that it does, though. A man's Y chromosome, the chromosome that I inherited from my father, is a link in a chain of Y chromosomes that go back from father to son, from son to father, all the way back to the very first Adam that's in my genetic line. Now, here's the thing. I am a descendant of Adam, the son of God. Because Adam is and was an actual being. The first human, there was a first human. There was a first human man. And his name, for lack of a better term, is Adam. And God made his significant other of the same genetic material that he had made Adam from. And we call her Eve, woman. Now, by Jesus' time, you see, because Jesus was a prophet, he had access to God. And Jesus understood that some exceptions to the law needed to be made in order to right the wrongs that were being done by the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Now, mind you, there wasn't even any exceptions to the law. He had to rectify the exceptions that they were making for themselves. The hypocrites. Which is the worst crime that you can possibly commit as a priest of God, is hypocrisy. If you are guilty of hypocrisy, that itself is a death sentence. The irony is that the one calling out the hypocrisy was the one to die. But that's because that was part of God's plan, so that when we get to today, the new prophet, the new Messiah, can go, fuck you, come at me, cocksucker, because I will fuck you up. Jesus had a street crew. I roll by myself. I don't need nobody. I told God last year, I want the power to take on the entire world's nations of armies all at once, bare fucking handed. Because fuck you. Goddamn world's a fucking mess right now. And the fucked up thing is, people like me, well, I mean, me. I don't know, I can't say people like me because I've never seen people like me before. Are the bad guys. We're the wicked ones. Either that or people want us to think that we're the wicked ones. Go fuck yourself. Again, wrap your lips around my dick while it's erect. And keep it there until I fucking burst in your mouth. So while the Jews and the Israelites, while they were touring the desert, they came across a man who they found collecting firewood on the Sabbath. And they took his ass into custody. The fuck you doing? No work. No work, motherfucker. The fuck are you doing? So they bring him to Moses. What do we do with him? You know what Moses said? Hold up. God, my Lord, this man was caught collecting firewood on the Sabbath. What do we do with him? Make an example out of him. All right. Take him outside of the camp and then stone him to death. This way, it's going to send a message to everybody. We tell you to take a fucking day off of work. You take a day off of work. You feel? Anybody caught working, is that fucked up? Anybody caught working on the fucking Sabbath is going to get stoned to death in front of everybody else. Because that's how he rolls. Because that's how important it is. Because if you don't follow the rules, if you don't take a break, you're going to burn yourself out. And what good are you if you're burnt out? How many people fucking work 7 days a week? I remember working at Hugo Boss. I worked 20 days. I had 1 day off in 21 days. Oh, we didn't put a gun to your head. We didn't put a gun to your head. No, but you didn't have anybody else to cover the work, so. 4.5 months straight, I only had 12 days off. Suck my dick. What's that? That's 12 weeks? No, that's 16 weeks. That's 18 weeks. 18 weeks, I had 12 days off. What's 7 times 18? What's 14 minus 180? 140. 140 minus 14. I'm sorry. 7. Well, 20 weeks would be 140 days minus 2 weeks. So that's 133, 126. So out of 126 days, I got 12 days off. That's about 10%. That's 1 day a week, which technically is Sabbath. So I didn't, technically, if we break it down, numbers to numbers, I didn't violate Sabbath law. That of which I was technically ignorant to at the time. Then there was the following trip to Merrimack for Hugo Boss that I had 1 day off in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 1 day in 14 days. And the only reason I had off was because I took it. I turned my phone off one day and said, fuck this. After a week and a half, I'm taking a day off. You guys can't even be honest with the fucking money situation, so fuck you. And I'm gonna go have a Bloody Mary first thing in the morning. About that. I'm gonna go back to my room and I'm gonna jerk off watching porn. Then I'm gonna watch a couple episodes of the fucking Mandalorian. I'm just gonna enjoy the fuck out of my day because I'm not an employee. I'm doing you a favor. So when Jesus was healing people on the Sabbath, he did break the law, technically. So we can say that he did deserve to die. He earned it. He got it. Not for being a false prophet or not for being a false Messiah. He was charged with being a false prophet and a false Messiah. But that's because the powers that be aren't willing to give up their power. So they had the easy way out. Nah, false prophet, blasphemy. We get final say. We get to say who's the fucking the prophets and the messiahs are. That's what they think. Read the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. There are some Jews, were some Jews who think it's up to them to decide who the Messiah is. Wrong, motherfucker. You don't get to say shit. You don't get to say shit. That's God's fucking... God gets the final say, not you, dum-dum. Ye old wise men of such little faith. And listen, but the rabbinical wisdom, and I'm not saying this goes for all rabbis. I have a lot of respect for rabbis. I have a lot of respect for myself, also a rabbi. Ordained by God, like Jesus. Well, no, Jesus learned in the temple. I don't have a temple. I don't have a temple master to learn under, so I learn under the masters who actually wrote the fucking Bible. The books. The scriptures. Arrogance. Is it arrogance? You call it arrogance. What does God call it? You're just a fucking man. You're just a little puny nothing of flesh and blood. Who are you to declare who's arrogant and who's what? You're nothing. Worry about your own goddamn self. If you don't like the message, take my scroll, take my long hard scroll. Take my scroll and cram it down your pie hole. Blasphemy. Blow me. I don't work for you. I work for God. I don't have to follow your rules because they're your rules. They're not his rules. And again, why did Jesus break the law? Why did Jesus break the Sabbath law? Because he had to fix your fuck-ups. He fixed your fuck-ups. You poisoned the people's minds. He had to fucking be the medicine. And he sacrificed his entire life. He had that delicious little fucking Mary Magdalene that was all ready to ride up and down his pole. But he had to give his life up for the fucking sins of you people. He died for your sins. He didn't die for mine. He died for your sins so I don't have to. You fucked up. That's why you can't even get past your own fucking ego. You can't even get past your own ego. He was a Roman criminal. He was a fucking Jew, you idiot. He was a Jew. When one of us stumbles, we all fall down. You don't kick another Jew when he's down, asshole. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? If the shoe fits, wear it. I don't have a specific name or face in my head. I can see a couple of the YouTube rabbis that I follow. I can see a couple of the YouTube internet Jews that I follow. Who are all endorsed by the Jewish Learning Institute. Who are they again? Where do they exist in the Bible? And where are the Jews in the Bible anyway? Like, the way I see it is that Jews today, they just confiscated stuff that doesn't really belong to them. Like, who the fuck are any of you people? Because God, when I talked to Abraham, last night's daily thought on Chabad, Jacob never died. And right now, Jacob is telling me, I don't know who the fuck these people are. Like, honestly, I don't know. I know who you are, but I don't know who they are. I mean, if we really want to go into it, at what point, where in the Bible does it say anything about Jews? There's Mordecai the Jew, but he breaks the rules of all the Jews for what it means to be a Jew, because everyone's uneducated and thinks that Jews have to be from Judah. No, not even close to being the case. When I don't think there's that. I have to go back and look. I'd have to go back and look, but of the like 5 or 6 Jews that are actually named in the Bible, I think maybe one of them is from Judah. Hey, go fuck yourself. Who's that directed to? That's directed to all the Jews who are saying that I'm not a Jew because my mom's not a Jew. No, my mom's a fucking witch, though. My father has Israelite Hebrew blood in him, so sprechen the dick. And everybody knows, especially on Chabad, that Jew no longer designates just somebody who is of the tribe of Judah, but any ancestor of the ancient Israelites and Jacob. And being that God is like screaming in my ear every day, all day, every day since I was a little kid, I'd even make the case that I might be more Jew than Jew. So we either start to play fucking nice, or you go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit. Because you can't touch me. My immunity comes from the fact that I was murdered in my last life. Not murdered. But you didn't do anything to help. You let me die. Because you didn't like that I was right and you were wrong. Because you knew you were wrong. That's why you keep your mouth shut. Or you fucking open your mouth. You wait till I'm up on a cross, then you open your mouth. All right, Elijah, why don't you come on down and heal yourself then? You fucking piece of shit. How dare you? Could destroy the temple and rise again 3. As far as I know, the temple fucking was destroyed 30 years later, yeah? And something I learned from, something every rabbi and Jew should know, is that just because the Bible says a day, that doesn't necessarily mean 3 24-hour day-night cycles. One day could be 1,000 years. Guys, sing in my hoop. Yeah, so the 7th year is a sabbatical year, which means that slaves get to go free after the 7th year. After a 7th year term. The first day of the 7th year. Of a full 6-year term as a slave to a master. Kind of going back to where we were at originally. Which is also the case with the land. The land has to have its own sabbatical year. Now, the other thing about slaves is that after your term is up, after your contract is up, this is for voluntary Hebrew slaves. After the 6th year is completed, on your way out, because you leave with what you came with, you get an option. Do you want to renegotiate? I mean, there's not a renegotiate. Yeah, you want to renegotiate, or do you want to get the fuck out of here? Because you get to keep nothing, even if you have children. If I'm gracious enough to let you have children and a wife, I keep the wife and the children. Again, you leave with what you came with. Or we can re-up, but there's no going back after this time. This is a life sentence. So much so that if you need to be my servant because you can't survive any other way, we're going to put a nail in your ear so everybody knows you belong to Derek. As you're my property. Now, how do you define slavery? See, you say slavery, people get the, like, mind you, this is involuntary slavery. I mean, voluntary slavery. Like, this is your choice. It's called employment. If you work for somebody, you're a slave. This is the truth. This is a fact. I knew this long before I knew it. One of the things that my ex-wife really couldn't stand about me is how I always complained about being a fucking slave. Wasn't wrong though. Oh shit. But this tired me the fuck out, man. We're only at an hour and a half. Yeah, but it's also like the high 80s right now. So I gotta go to the store, which we're walking to right now. Yeah, so originally, my original thought, like what I thought I was gonna talk about was my experience this morning from when I was feeling victimized and feeling alone and hurt and why woe is me, which is true. Like, it's not, I don't woe is me for no reason. But going back to the whole idea of like, who am I to declare who's righteous and who's wicked, you know? I'm a righteous wicked man living in a wicked righteous world. Or vice versa. I go both ways. Instead of asking God, like, why the righteous suffer while the wicked prosper, maybe we should clear some of the smudge out of our eyes. Start pull the log out of our own eyeballs and recognize, if I think I'm suffering, where am I wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like, literally, what am I doing wrong? Because everything he does is perfect. Everything he does is good. And if this wicked man's getting something that I'm not, that I want, maybe there's something I'm not doing. Maybe something I could do better. My mother said, you're only as sick as your secrets. It's true. These are facts. You're only as sick as your fucking secrets. You get cancer, the flu. I could go that way, but I'm going this way. My perfect world? In my perfect world, Jews say that I'm self-righteous. I had a Jew once tell me that I come off like a drunken preacher. I took that as a compliment. Wasn't meant as it. He was kind of a dick. Oh. Yeah, so then I had to, I was doing a writing thought experiment where instead of writing about all the vengeance I wanted to see, I started writing about how I wanted to help people that I don't want to help. And that started making me cry because I was getting really mad. That I was writing these things and I don't want to let go of my anger. I want to hold on to the rage. I want to hold on to the hate. It was good. It was nice letting that shit go. I gotta cut this off because I'm like it's hot. I'm getting hot and bothered. I think I got a fucking poppy seed in my tooth that's fucking pissing me off. Oh God. Yep. Alright, we're definitely not doing this again. Today because it's like way too hot. I'm getting like a headache. Yeah. Alright.